Women, feminists, shitting on black men. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and if we are going to look at some of the more downright glaring and unjustified examples of societal cruelty, it would be the way so many women in our nation, who are almost unanimously feminists and largely are often white women, talk about, to, or treat black men. I've read comments from viewers of mine that say that they believe that feminists know that females have a lot more privileges than men. And the reason that feminists are so aggressive about speaking about the issues that women do potentially face, like rape, domestic violence, and birth control access, as well as the other supposed issues that they speak about, like manspreading, mansplaining the wage gap, and freeing the nipple. The reason that feminists talk about all of this stuff is that they are trying to maintain the status quo. They know that they are privileged in most instances, and they don't want to give that up. Now, I am not willing to say that every one of these women who goes on and on about supposed female oppression are fully aware that they largely have the better deal to men in regards to how society actually caters to their needs and comfort. However, when you look at the way that feminists speak about black men, even right on the black men's Facebook timelines, it's hard to imagine that there isn't at least a small part of them that knows perfectly well that they don't have it all that bad, but they are more than willing to keep things the way that they are. I was talking to some black friends on a live stream recently, and they both testified to the way that they remember very clearly the white girls at their school seeming to have power over absolutely everybody. Not only did white boys in their high school bend over backwards for the white girls, but black boys and even some black girls would end up white knighting for white girls, they said. I find this really interesting as a concept to think about in regards to both gender relations in our nation, where so many females see men as people that should basically be working to keep females happy at all time. But to add to that, black men have historically been the ultimate subordinate demographic in relation to white people, and in many instances, that does continue to this day. We've all probably heard by now the stories of black men being lynched for even so much as speaking to the wrong white woman or looking at her in the wrong way during or right after slavery. And this notion of black men preying upon white women has never escaped the collective unconscious of our nation. When Dylan Roof shot dead 9 people at the black church, one of the reasons he cited as his motivation was that black men rape white women. Regardless of the numbers around black male crime committed against white women in the United States, one thing that I have noticed over the course of my life while having several black male friends is that it is very often still ingrained in the heads of black males, for whatever reason, that they better not piss off a white woman. I'm not sure if their parents or grandparents told them this, or if it was just learned through schooling and maybe from the law, that if you are a black male and a white woman wants to ruin you, basically all she has to do is accuse you of something, and it's over. This goes for all men, really, at this point, but let's be honest, it's probably a lot worse for black men, even to this day. That said, since black men so often have this attitude of fear around upsetting white women, and you extend this notion to the broader cultural context of feminism, which then manifests itself on a broader platform of social media, where hundreds of women, largely white, interact publicly with hundreds of black men, a very peculiar thing happens. I have seen numerous black male friends of mine post publicly on Facebook talking about their male privilege, despite the fact that they probably know, at least subconsciously, that they are several times more likely to suffer from violence by either police or civilians than Black women, more likely to be unemployed, to be incarcerated, including by wrongful conviction with longer sentences when they do, more likely to be homeless, to commit suicide, and far more likely to drop out of high school and certainly less likely to go on to university. By basically every tangible metric available, Black men are suffering in the United States much more than Black women, and yet numerous Black men that I have known personally, or you can easily find yourself on social media, are publicly licking the boots of the feminist narrative by proclaiming to the world that they have male privilege. And what are the reactions of the women in their lives? I want to ask you, if you have Black male friends who make posts about their male privilege, how many women do you see saying things like, "Hey, buddy, it sounds like you're apologizing for being male, but you don't need to do that. Black men have it pretty rough if you look into the numbers, and I think you're a great guy that should feel good about yourself." How often do you see that compared to how often you see women, including upper middle class white women, saying as a response to this Black man, "Thank you for acknowledging your male privilege. I know it can be hard to acknowledge our unearned advantages sometimes, but I'm glad I have self-aware men like you in my life." Or maybe they'll say, "I acknowledge my white privilege, so it's only fair that men acknowledge their male privilege." Basically, in so many words, these women are saying, "Good, he's playing right into our hand. Let's make sure he is rewarded conversationally for his subordinate behavior so that he never questions his loyalty to us." Of course, at this point, when I see this happen, I can't let it slide, and I always have to say something. I tell my Black male friends, especially the straight guys, all of the different ways that the demographic of Black men are suffering numerically in the United States. But do they thank me? Well, to be honest, they actually usually at least sort of do. They usually like my comment where I share the numbers about Black men suffering. However, of course, that will end in a heartbeat the second one of their female friends jumps in to argue with me. And they always will. And very often, again, they are white women coming to argue with me. Sorry, argue? What am I saying? These women don't even argue with me. They insult me, mock me, gang up on me, and considering I'm gay, they have recently taken to making semi-homophobic stabs about how I must be some sort of Milo Yiannopoulos fan, as if my advocacy for male issues is only related to a gay celebrity, or they might even start trying to say that I hate women because I think vaginas are disgusting. This just happened recently. You see, as I mentioned earlier, Black men don't just live in fear of upsetting white women, but they even are very often willing to white knight for white women. And the thing is this, I am fairly sure that these white women know it. They want Black men as their protectors. That said, these women aren't trying to debate me at all. They are trying to instigate drama so that they can play victim, with the assumption that once it looks like there's a conflict between a white woman and a male, their big Black white knight will come save them. And chances are, due to his fear of pissing off white women, he very likely will. I think that's a deeply shameful way to treat Black men. But white women do this all the time, and Black men let them get away with it. I don't know, maybe it's worth it. That's all I have to say for this video. Drop me a comment, hit the bell button next to the subscribe button so that you don't accidentally get unsubscribed, and stay tuned.